Howdy, AP PreCal. It is Miss Kosh. I worked this example in a video recently, and then I found a fun way to teach it today, so I taught it 5 times, and I think the 4th time I taught it, I came up with something more clever, and I was like, oh. So I decided to go ahead and make another video. What's happening in this one is they're asking us to solve something that is not unit circle friendly. I took a screenshot. Is that blurry or is it my eyes? Sorry if it's a little bit blurry. I was working off of a screenshot. Okay, so when I go to solve this, I get sine of x equals negative 7/8, and this is not unit circle friendly. What that means is somewhere we have a y value of negative 7/8 that's intersecting my circle, and it's kind of close in to -1 right here. Negative 7/8 is relatively close in the scheme of things. That's kind of in the way. And so I'm finding about two different values down here. Well, one of them is in the 3rd quadrant, and one is in the 4th quadrant. So we need to figure out, they're asking for exact values, and we're trying to find how do I make sure that they live between 0 and 2 pi. So what I did next is that I came and I graphed it. And I knew my midline, so my equation was y equals 8 sine of x plus 7. So the midline is at 7. All we did is shift it up and stretch it. So then we go to, where is pi over 2? Pi over 2 is here. We're back to pi. We're at -1. We're back here. We're back here. If this is too fast for you, then go watch, that sounds terrible, but go watch previous videos. Why isn't my pen working? Oh, because it thinks it's, hang on. Okay, it selected that picture. I shouldn't have used a picture. It is what it is. Here we go. Life is too short to worry. Okay, let's come back in here. Okay, so it keeps grabbing. This is annoying. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, so we're going to sketch, we're concave up, we're concave down, we're concave up, we're concave down. Okay, so here was the clever thing I did in class today. I said we need to live in the domain from, oh my goodness, I am struggling. We need to live in the domain from 0 to 2 pi, which is here and here, which gives us 2 answers. Ooh, that's going to be hard to see. We were not going to use yellow. But I have 4 zeros here that are visible. I named this one K, this one O, this one S, and this one H. And I asked my students, yes, I did that on purpose. I asked my students which one comes from which quadrant and that sort of thing. And how do I identify these different ones? Okay, so if you remember, if I have an angle that's going this way, if I say, oh, what just happened? Oh, that was y equals, that was how I knew where to graph that. Okay, that's clutter now. This one I could say is inverse sine of a negative 7/8, but the inverse sine of negative 7/8 is negative. So what that means is this right here is a way, and this one over this, okay, so that angle into the 4th quadrant is negative. The angle that gets us into the 3rd quadrant is negative if we go that way. Do you see the direction I went? But it is more negative this silly thing. I'm sorry. I should not, a note to self, don't try and use a big screenshot like that. Okay, that green angle is more negative than the red angle. So the red angle, if I look over here, the one that, they're both negative, K and O, but the one that is more negative, K, is the one that came from quadrant 3. Okay, so this angle right here, quadrant 3 gives us the K angle, quadrant 4 gives us the O angle, and then if I do something coterminal to K, it would give me S, and then coterminal to O would give me H. So now we have to find what the equation would be. Does that make sense? I hope that does. What we're looking at, S and H live between 0 and 2 pi. K and O are angles that are coterminal to some of those other ones. Okay, so what would H be? H we said was coterminal to O, and it's in that quadrant 4. What I can do is I can take what I wrote a second ago, inverse sine of negative 7/8, and I can add 2 pi. And now this H right here is the inverse sine of negative 7/8 plus 2 pi. Is that the only way to name that angle? No, but go check out my other video about unfriendly unit circle unfriendly trig, inverse trig. I think that's what I called it. This one is the angle is point H. Point S, however, would be, well, one way to get to that quadrant would be to start in quadrant 1 with a positive 7/8 and then add pi. Okay, and so we have the point S can be described as inverse sine of positive 7/8 plus pi. It's not the only way to name it, but it's one way to name it. And then, because that took us from quadrant 1 was the positive, and then add pi, we're down into that quadrant, and we are in the correct domain. We're within 0 and 2 pi. The other one, inverse sine of negative 7/8, that started us in the wrong, or it started us outside our domain. And then when we add 2 pi, it puts us in the correct domain. I hope that helps. This is definitely a little tricky. You're going to just have to struggle through and practice some problems and try and make sense of this. All right, like, subscribe, comment, go practice, lock in so I don't have to crash out. It makes me laugh every time I say that. I know it's ridiculous, but that's part of the fun of it. All right, go practice.